Hey everyone. Uh, yeah, we're gonna rip apart this test card again, change out the putty, and do some more testing. So here we go. Hope you guys are having a good night, good day, week, month, year, decade. I hope you're having a great decade. Starting now, not the previous last couple of years. Guess I've had a pretty decent decade to be thankful for. Yeah, that's some thermal putty right there. Some really good stalagmites and stalactites. Yummy stuff. Just like bubble gum. Wow, this stuff is very, very soft. Probably a good putty to use with shims. Pretty decent anyways. Yeah, if you guys are ever using a putty with shims and you're using, let's say your thermal gap is 1.8 millimeters and you've got 1.6 mil shims like I do, then you've only got a layer of 0.1 millimeters of putty on either side of that shim. And it can be done with like the likes of TH949-1, Siren UX Pro, but you just have to be conscientious of the compression of those and be sure that you apply enough force when you're reassembling to get the card down to a good size again. Not down to a good size, but it just takes a bit more pressure to compress. Still softer than pads, but when you've only got a 0.1 millimeter gap, then you've got to press down a little bit on the card when you reassemble it, just to get it to squeeze out. This putty is harder to save, I'm seeing, because it's sticking to the board more than the previous last couple putties we've tested, so that's okay though. This is still way easier to clean than that slice engineering stuff. I mean, it's probably a good product for something. It's just not for video cards for heat transfer. Sorry, I just kind of knocked the, let's go back to the overview. Is that light too bright? I'm just going to turn that down a notch. Okay. That might be too dark. Okay, I'm going to go back, sorry. It's a little bit brighter. I should be a Q-tip salesman. I could sell thousands of Q-tips. I use thousands of Q-tips. I'd be my biggest own customer if I was selling Q-tips. Yeah, this stuff is just, it's good. It's soft, so it's hasn't heat cured like that slice stuff did. So I'm thankful for that. You know, this could be a lot worse. I could even get a toothbrush and scrub this fairly easily. Oh, to add the chat to the docs. Here we go. Testing. Yeah, that works. You'd think if you're doing a stream, the that chat doc should just come up by default. Maybe I don't have that saved properly. I'll have to look into that. Okay, I don't think we have to get the toothbrush out. It just takes focused scrubbing with the focused, relatively gentle scrubbing with the Q-tip. So here we are. It's a Wednesday night, and all I've done all day was test thermal putty, buy some shawarma for lunch, and a late lunch at that. Some ice cream for the wife. Well, and hang out with my daughter. She's working on the monkey bars now. Super impressive. Climb just about anything. When she falls down, she gets right back up on her feet. And that's the real trick. Yeah, I'm gonna go get toothbrush, I think. Just a sec. Evan Bunch. Hey, how's it going, man? Good, I can clarify something I mentioned in your last stream. Yeah, what is it? Evan, I think you're the first one here. I've just been talking to myself for 10 minutes. Well, myself and future viewers, I should say. Eventually I'll get to the point where I can like schedule and know ahead if I'm going to do a stream during a certain time. I guess I could have done it tonight, but I didn't. It would only have been like a 10-minute warning anyways. Still getting used to the format, so to kind of just get set up and make a thumbnail and get everything ready. I'm afraid I'm gonna like miss something last second. I almost did. I almost misplaced my OCP10 container, which I used to put the putty back in a few minutes ago. On our DNA cards, or at least the 7900 I have, the temperature reporting for memory is junction hotspot and not edge case average, as is typical. Yeah. So I guess that'd be, I'm trying to think, that'd be fairly similar to NVIDIA's memory junction temperatures. That's how it shows up in HW info. Which I think that's basically supposed to be what gets the hottest, or actually I think when Kingpin was talking about it, he was saying that the sensors are not actually directly beside the VRAM, and so, or maybe it was NVIDIA, but there was a design where it could be 5-10 degrees. Don't quote me on 510, but it could be a couple degrees hotter, actual VRAM temperatures, and so that's why they were throttling them at 110 Celsius, because I think they're rated for operation up to, or like where they would break would be around that 130 to 135 degrees Celsius mark. So if the junction is showing 110, and if it's actually 115, or then yeah, you're getting into danger territory. And it drastically shortens the life, obviously. The cooler the memory, the longer the card's gonna live. That's why there's cards with GDDR5 that didn't have active cooling. They would even sometimes have no heatsink on them at all, and they're still, some of those cards are still kicking. It's impressive. But GDDR5 is pretty slow compared to the speeds that we have nowadays, so yeah. It's probably too many Q-tips. So Evan, how was your day? Did you have a good day? Did you work? Did you play? Did you solve world hunger? I tried to, but all I can do is work on one person's hunger mostly, so I just eat food when I'm hungry, and I do small solutions that way. Be decent work and play. You know, you got to get a good balance, right? Sometimes my job is all work for extended periods, and then other times I get to play in between jobs. So right now I've got see, like 4 more days off. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3. Crap, I only have 3 days left. And then back on call for 2 weeks, I think. So I'll be less testing then for sure. So I'm trying to get as much done as I can right now with this stuff. Get caught up with the backlog of putties that I had. And then we'll move into thermal pads and shims. Oh, I need to test liquid metal in there somewhere too. Cyberpunk, nice. Yeah, I'm okay with all play too, as long as the bills get paid. But you know what's funny about bills? They don't pay themselves. I left one job in 2018 because it was, well, I was working on the rigs. It was spring breakup. And that's what happens in Alberta is the ground melts and they can't move big heavy equipment down those logging roads. There's road bans. So yeah, it was like I had a mortgage and quickly realized I was in trouble. Because mortgages usually come out on time. The bank doesn't wait around for their money. So I quickly hunted around for a job and I'm now signed up with the employer that I have now. And I started in the shop building tools, and then now I'm out in the field again, running those tools on rigs. So it's an interesting job. Challenging at times, but the challenge pays off usually. And before that, worked at a summer camp and a restaurant. Summer camp in the summer and restaurant all the rest of the time. Yeah, challenging is good. If I don't have a challenge, I get bored. One time I was working for a construction company and we're building a hospital down in Calgary. And project was basically done. But they needed a skeleton crew just to be there so that as they opened up the hospital and doctors and nurses and patients came, if they found any deficiencies, we'd be there to quickly resolve them. So we just sat there for like 2 months mopping and sweeping these floors that were perfectly clean, dusting all the air ducts. Like when you can mop for an hour and a half and the water in the mop bucket is still clean, you're not really doing much. So I can mop, don't get me wrong, but I have to at least be cleaning some dirt. I can't mop just for the sake of collecting a paycheck. So that's kind of when I moved to working on the rigs, which was a pretty good decision. Not great timing, because there was a big slowdown when I left that job. So I only did that for like 2 years as a roughneck. Okay, I'm just gonna give this a light scrub here. this is isopropyl 99%. I swear this card's going to smell like bubblegum after all this pink putty I've been testing. I don't know if probably would take away from the thermal transfer capabilities, but man, it'd be sweet to have putty that smelled like gum. But if you're a manufacturer watching this, don't do that. It's going to ruin your product. All I mostly care about is thermal transfer. And longevity is important too. But thermal transfer first. Well, maybe it's a balance. It's definitely a balance. Hot bubblegum. What if it was like mint flavored bubblegum? Or you know what it should be? It should smell like pine trees and like cedar. Because obviously we're busy playing games beside a nowadays 1000-watt PC every once in a while. It's pretty hot. I mean, do we even know what the outdoors look like anymore? I don't know. We should probably smell the outdoors through our thermal putty. I should start a thermal putty company and just start manufacturing this stuff. I might, well, I'm not going to manufacture per se. I might take an existing putty and experiment with adding different things. I've got some diamond powder. I've got 50 carats of that, which is, I think that's 5 grams, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just going to pick one of these putties that seems like a good base with still like a good low viscosity and decent thermal transfer, and just see if I can bump it up a notch by adding diamond powder. And then there's also aluminum oxide online that I could source as well. Haven't touched grass in ages, eh? You got one of those plastic lawns, or do you live in like a high rise of concrete and glass? Grass smell, yeah. Grass smell just before it rains, or you can just by the smell you can tell it's going to rain. That'd be the smell they should use. Okay, let's spruce up this TGPP10. I'm gonna go a couple of these. Here goes. Icy diamond paste works fairly well. Super abrasive. Oh, Texas. Yeah. It's pretty hot there. It gets, what you guys, see 45, 50 degrees Celsius? I know you're probably usually talking Fahrenheit, but I'm a Canadian boy, so I talking metric. Our grass is not looking that great out here. It's just been a fairly dry year. Okay. So, check on my Yeah. I feel like I'm going to etch this dye eventually just by using constantly scrubbing it with Q-tips. I mean, I guess there's not much going on in the top couple layers of silicone, so as long as I don't lap it. Yeah, so I've worked in temperatures like that, Saudi Arabia, working internationally for 3 years, 3.5, I guess. And it's pretty hot over there. I don't think I saw 50 ever, but we're definitely around 45, 38 degrees Celsius at night. Stuff gets old fast. Everyone does thermal paste different, but this is what I do. Figure you've got to go with what you want to do. As long as you use something, or like a phase change material, obviously, good too. Yeah, actually, I'm hoping to still get a sample from Fuji Poly. I should respond back to that guy in an email. I would really like to test that stuff. It's got a density of 3.5 grams per cc as well, which, you know, in my opinion, seems like the sweet spot for thermal transfer. I mean, maybe you could get more, but it'd be hard to have a low enough viscosity, so. I mean, I'm also excited to test out that that Upsiren liquid metal thermal grease, LMTG 100. I have some. I need to get on that at some point, but it's interesting. Just going to block out the close-up for now. Get that out of the way. I tested it with a multimeter, and it doesn't conduct electricity, but it kind of does, or would, or could. It's when you put it between two shims and rub them together, it bleeds out just these tiny little liquid balls of liquid metal. But I don't know what the heat transfer. Sorry, I don't know what the heat transfer is like yet. So, oh shoot, that's not good. What am I doing? I'm just gonna get that out of the way over there. Sorry, I didn't notice that cord in front of there. So this is in, yeah, it's in grams. Okay, so an empty pre-cut weighs 30, 29, 30, 29. Wait for a second. And we'll load it up with this, oh, nice little spreader. So this, not the greatest packaging. Thermal Putty. It's like, what brand is this? This is the LK Pro that I bought off AliExpress. I'll have to check which store it's from later, and I'll post that on the chart. But get a finger sock here. Their stuff is bright blue and gritty loose. It's definitely what AMD uses. For the layered stuff, just a sec. So this is layered Putty 607. Okay, it's a cartridge. It's got that in the back. See if I can get access to it this way. It's blue. Get a second sock here. Gritty and loose. Okay. Let's see. Just gonna cover that. Put this back on. Cross threading on a plastic thread, no good. Okay. I don't know. It feels fairly smooth. Obviously you can see it tearing away from itself when I get it below that minimum bond line thickness. It doesn't feel gritty. I can't feel any particulates in there. Yeah, I don't know. White color, but doesn't look. Yeah, let me if I can get the light more accurate for you. We're gonna use a black background. A light. To me, the color is fairly accurate on the screen for the blue. Yeah. Okay, now I got putty all over my fingers. It's not the first or last time, I'll say that. Doesn't look quite right texture, yeah. Cooked out? Yeah, maybe. If it was like baked out crumbly. Yeah, it'll be interesting to test this one as well. We've got a bunch of putties from the larger, well-established industrial manufacturers. Interesting to see how they perform. All right, let's get this thing loaded. Wow, wow, this stuff is, it's putty, but very soft stuff. This is going to be another messy one to clean up. And there's no way I'm going to get it all out of this container, I don't think. My complaint about OCP10 was too large of a container. Yeah, I mean, this one's size isn't so bad, but it's really hard. It'd be nice if it was like twice the diameter so that you could get the scraper in there on the flat, because these scrapers all have this little angled cut there. And apparently they're calling this 30 grams per container, which yeah, let's see what it approximately weighs here. Obviously it's going to be with the container. Yeah, okay. So pretty sure the container weighs more than 1 gram, but let's find that out in a second here. All the rest of that wastage. There's also, sorry, keep coughing. There is TG6060. See global, that's blue. Alright, so this empty container weighs 5. Yeah, so 5, 31. So I've got 25 grams. Close enough. It's 2 of these, 50 grams total. That's fine. This one, this container is not as, the color's the same. It's still fairly sticky. It's just ever so slightly a thicker consistency, higher viscosity. Maybe just a little bit, not even that much. That's the thing about yeah, when you disassemble cards a lot, it's you're not necessarily always looking for the messiest thing. Now, is that because you're using liquid metal on the core and you have to, how often do you do maintenance on the liquid metal, I guess I should ask? Okay, so let's see, weigh this right now and then we'll have a reference. Yeah, we've got about, you know, almost 50 grams exactly in there, so maybe 49. That works out as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, a very long time. So I heard with copper, it gradually can seep into the surface of copper, and then you, after you do that a couple times, it kind of just stays loaded and doesn't seep in as much. Obviously aluminum, not good. Yeah, okay. Gallium diffusing in copper. And then that probably, well, I assume that might boost thermal conductivity. Be interesting if the gallium does. So the cooler I've got to use to test is a Noctua U12S. I'm pretty sure, I'll double check. I think it's nickel plated. I think I made sure about that just so I could test it properly. And then all of AMD's CPUs are nickel plated. It's got that yellowish nickel coating that isn't polished. It's more of a matte finish. Don't really need to clean this part, but just a slight residue of putty. TG PP10 still going strong, but not as high thermal conductivity as quite a few other products. So, okay, let's apply some putty here. I've not noticed any gain or regression with the stained copper. Yeah, and even, I guess even if it was, it'd probably be so minimal because it's not like there'd be a massive amount of it. And the copper, it's probably a couple millimeters thick, so it's only going to affect that little bit, even if it did at all. The stuff is soft. We're going to use this guy to cut it off. Wow, this is one of the softer. Wow. This is definitely a different putty than the other pink putties. And each one of those is different as well. I know there was some speculation as to, are these just all clones of each other? But I don't think they are. They might use similar base materials, and maybe they don't source that themselves. Maybe they buy a putty base and then just pick their own additives, and probably are super secretive of what they add, or like amounts anyways. Okay, I shouldn't wipe that off. I should weigh it right away. So the other ones, we were sitting around that 13 grams. You know, this is not ideal with me holding it like this, but so 78 to 61, 17, and I probably wasted a gram or two that I wiped off. So yeah, pretty similar. Well, and I probably went a little too thick, but this stuff just came out too easily. This is closer. It's a putty, but it's like, it's almost a paste. I'll have to try it out as a paste at some point. It doesn't sink more than maybe into 0.05 millimeters of the copper. Yeah. It's like a surface treatment. Okay, so got view. Let's see if I can get this. This stuff is very liquidy. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Fun with a capital F. There we go. Just looking for the screwdriver. Justin Vasquez, welcome to the stream, buddy. How's it going? Thanks for your videos. I got some U6 Pro. The car is much cooler because of it. What I'm up to now is I made some massive improvements to my test bench, and now I'm actually logging in real time ambient temperatures for each test. I basically put the card with a new putty or pad or whatever, set the overclocks to the same on each card, and then I mine or run firm mark for 2 hours at least. I take that CSV log and I start taking the data at hour mark, like once it's done the 1 hour warm-up of the 2 hour test, and then I take the remaining 1 hour, average that all out at a sample every 2 seconds. And then that's where my test results are coming from now, which is way better than me the first time when I did the big mashup of like all the pads, putty, shims. I wasn't tracking ambient at all, not even with the thermometer, or I was just depending on my house's AC unit. So it wasn't very accurate testing looking back. So yeah, we're just gradually making improvements and retesting everything. We got some new putties and a bunch of new putties testing, and we're also going to test out different pastes and phase change materials. Lately I've been doing a lot of phase change material stuff with Honeywell PTM 7950, Upsiren PCM1. I'm soon going to have some Helios, some Thermalright Helios on the way to test out. Be interesting to see what that stuff looks like. And also got Cryo Sheet, thermal grizzly conductinaut, which is liquid metal, and then I've got the Upsiren, the new liquid metal thermal grease 100 LMTG. So yeah, we got lots on the go, and I'm just trying a new format where I'm gonna stream when I do work on cards like this, so you guys can kind of see my process, see any errors that I make, and hopefully have more accurate testing than what I had in the past. I mean, I still kind of stand by what I was doing before, but obviously tracking ambient and logging it and using Excel to do the math to figure out temperatures and results is a lot better than me trying to stare at the temperatures. And yeah. You know, I thought about doing a water block setup, and I might at some point look into that further. Why I haven't gone that way right now is I was worried about not being able to like heat soak the entire system and having to wait a lot longer to get usable comparable results. So I don't know. Right now my test bench is an open air PC. I've got an Aqua Computer Quadro with 2 sensors, and I put those 2 sensors, I've calibrated them to match each other or at room temperature, and also the other sensors I was using before. And then those are like right on the intake air going into the card. And then when I do the CPU, the same thing, I put it right there. And the CPU cooler is kind of cool because it just uses a single 120 mil fan. So I could conceivably use that to test out different fans. Just strap a new fan on and see what it does. But I might still look into the water block scenario at some point. If I could get a small enough loop that could get heat soaked, but it was still adequate for testing, it'd be interesting. So, let's see. That is the card back together. Here's that. If you guys can see that excess putty squishing out. Kind of see in the card a little bit. Can't really see on that side, but if I were just redoing this card and then putting it back in a gaming system, I would clean up that little bit of excess putty there. You know, I guess I'll just show what I usually do. Might as well. So I just gonna go like that. Wow, this stuff is super liquidy. Not liquidy, but very soft and messy. This is LK Pro. Well, I guess it says that in the description. You guys probably know that. This will be the one that takes hundreds of Q-tips to clean up. I'm wishing I had just left it, but well. Maybe this would be a contender for a putty I could add that diamond powder to. Yeah. Great minds think alike, Evan. Great minds think alike. You might have even typed that before I saw it, and then I just, yeah. Despite your ambient temp, you have the best testing methodology I've seen so far, and I'm glad it's getting better. Thanks, man. So my personal usage is SDXL, LLMs, air-cooled 3090. Yeah. So, Justin, what are you doing with your back plate on your 3090? What's the is it stock or have you done RAM syncs or something else? I had a buddy who was mining with a 3090, and this is before music just changed it. This was before I started working with thermal putties, and I also didn't want to take his card apart necessarily. And so what I did is to cool those backplate VRAM, I used these copper RAM sinks, and that's just some leftover tape, but I just used like thermal adhesive tape, and I would just took it on the back plate and kind of went like, you know, made a little pattern like this kind of thing with all the wherever the VRAM was. And then I had a 120 mil fan blowing on the back of it. Maybe I had two. I'd have to go back and look, but it worked great. It was a Asus Strix, I believe. It worked pretty good. Just adding those RAM sinks. So for anyone that wants to keep a warranty or lives in a country where that might void some warranties in some places, that'd be a good way to go. So yeah, that's the card back together. So yeah, I think that's it. All that I had planned for this stream. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about for a few minutes, or even questions, or love to hear them? Okay, Pro. Justin Vasquez says it's just got some music on the interval to barely touch 88. Yeah, that's legit. That's really good. My EVGA 3090 4013. It's sorry, I keep coughing. It's got copper shims and TGPP10. They've been there for a year and a half. I believe I recently did a mining test, and I feel like it was around those temperatures as well. I'll have to double check again, but so, and those are with shims. If you're getting that with Putty on a 3090, which is the worst design card for VRAM. I mean, at the time it had the fastest GDDR6X, and then they decided to like not actively cool half the VRAM. That's so when the 3090 Ti came out with the 2 gig density, that was like perfect. But the 3090 is still out in no man's land for, you know, it's going to consistently be the hottest VRAM card for a while, I think. Unless look and see what those Radeon 7s are doing with the HBM2. Those would be pretty hot too. Yeah. Every degree matters, and pads always cause problems. You know, and like I like the idea of a pad. It is so much cleaner to use a pad. It is. I wish we had good pads. And there are some good pads, but then it's contact and compressibility issues. I saw a video or stream recently with Northwest Repair where, if I can find that. Just a sec. Let's see if we can find this. Media. Yeah, here we go. Gotta love the one-handed typing. I don't know if I'll be able to find his video where he too hot. I feel like it was this one. I'm just gonna mute it really quick and try and. Yeah, nice. He's using GPU riser pads. Those are high performing. If you can get the compression right. It's a founder's card. This might not be the video, but what he did was he has a pad compressor. So when he did a card where put it together and then tested out the thermals were it was having like core contact issues. And then he took the pads out, put them in this like compressing tool, compress them a little bit, and then put them back. So if I had one of those and could get like super high quality or super high performing pads and get the compression perfect, that'd be great. But man, that takes a lot of work. And do I even have time? Well, I can't justify buying a card like that. So yeah, I don't know. Not a card, a tool. It's got to be pretty expensive. Use core only water blocks, but memory is too hot today. Yeah, and we've got GDDR7 on the way, which apparently is stacking VRAM chips. So we're gonna have well GDDR6X is around 3.4 watts per VRAM, and that was with the 3000 series. I'm assuming the 4000 series. Well, I don't know. I assume it's a bit higher because they're running at higher gigabits per second. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up here too as well. Thank you guys for checking out my stream. And if you're looking for results, I've got them in my YouTube channel on the About section. There's a link at the bottom. And I'll just keep updating the link as I add more results. So thanks for coming out tonight, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.